everything.
So, thank you very much for being here. So as you can see, we don't have Rebecca. She was not able to attend today, unfortunately. So we have the new Rebecca, Stephen O'Reilly from Gramophone. I also want to introduce Nikke Osterbach, but I know that my pronunciation is not the best pronunciation of your name. Maybe you can introduce you.
Yes, so I work in music in London with artists and management companies. My clients include Nick Cave. I've done work for PJ Harvey, The Box Rebellion, Frightened Rabbit, Benjamin Clementine, who's performing this Friday, a number of management companies, a number of artists. And what my company does is I work with artists and managers developing their digital strategies and how to monetize content and how to actually develop your audience and make it into a business. And that involves marketing activities, that involves audience development, it involves making sense of platforms, it includes playlisting, a lot of different things, so whatever is relevant. So whether it's YouTube Red, whether it's Spotify, whatever the platform is, I'm the person who then works with the artists and the managers.
Thank you very much. And Stephen, you're involved in music and tech.
Yeah, so my day job is I head up a company called Gramophone, which is part of FON, the FON Wi-Fi network, who are based in Madrid. So it's a Spanish company that employ 150 people, an excellent technology company. But I also do manage bands. I've been involved in music and technology for quite a long time, and I've worked, I've run companies like Topspin and Mobile Roadie and Shuffler Media, and I've worked with everyone from, Madonna and Adele, the Rolling Stones, the Prodigy, and loads of other bands and small bands as well. And as a manager, I manage two bands that are very small, but Nikke is obviously working on massive campaigns, so he's going to have crazy insights to what he's been working on, and I'll probably be able to contribute from the smaller, developing, emerging artist kind of view.
Yeah, and then kind of in Rebecca's absence, I've used Rebecca's services, and I would probably try to kind of fill in a bit from her point of view.
So maybe we can start with a definition of vlogging. How do you define vlog?
Well, I guess vlogging, first of all, was about YouTube, more or less. But now, as Facebook and Twitter, for example, have kind of realized that they need to have the video content uploaded natively on their platforms, vlogging and monetizing your content is becoming much more complicated. And I guess there's two sides to vlogging, and it's the promotional side and your audience side, and then there's the monetization side. So we know now that you can make a living out of YouTube, but what kind of a living can you make out from YouTube? So I think we know that is it $32 million that PewDiePie did last year. So that's the top, I think.
And for you, Stephen, because you have an experience with Mobile Roadie.
Yeah, and other technology companies, video has always been incredibly important to everything that we did. It's one of the most engaging mediums, of all. And for me, vlogging is about telling a story, using video, telling a story, engaging your audience, building relationships with your fans, kind of hooking people into your world, getting them interested in what you do, and building that story over time. And somewhere at the end of the line, like Nikke said, how do you monetize that? Like, what is the business model behind vlogging? Like, you do all this stuff to ultimately is to sell a ticket to a show, to sell a piece of merchandise or a record. So that is storytelling with the end goal being building your business, as an artist. And like, obviously Nikke's been working with huge bands, and I've been working with smaller bands, and we've been lucky in a way that technology makes it possible for us as a band and me as a manager to record amazing quality videos. We've been really good at creating high quality content and finding good partners to distribute our stuff. So we've been lucky that Vivo have featured a bunch of our videos. You know, we're just a small band, and we sent them off to Vivo, almost begging them to promote it, and they did. You know,
so you need time and money to vlog. So does it worth it at the end? Because you need a team, maybe, or you need to have someone to help you to create your storytelling. So it's really, it can be very complicated for an emerging artist, for example.
Yeah, I think there's a great big misconception in whenever we talk about YouTube. Yeah. Or being a YouTube artist. So there's like this kind of fallacies that anyone can now be a YouTube artist, and that's kind of where the business is. But let's say you're a YouTube artist, and you have a channel that combines lifestyle and music, and you create good storytelling. You build your subscriber base, you build your social channels, and you have a business on that. You know, that's the business. Now, if you then take that artist and you put it into the context of going and touring, then obviously, you know, you have very different logistics of, you know, paying for all the logistics on going on tour. And if you have 1 million views in London, it doesn't mean you're going to sell 100 tickets. It's more like if you can sell 100 tickets, you're able to have 1 million views. So it's a kind of at the end of the day, and I'd like to kind of, I'm speaking more from an artist's point of view, musical artist's point of view, rather than lifestyle blogger's point of view, that fundamentally, if you're aiming to have a business, you need to make money. And what PewDiePie did, so is he going to be presenting on NBC or something? I read the other week.
Well, he did a big deal with YouTube, where now YouTube have YouTube Red, and he's going to do his own show on YouTube, and possibly it could be syndicated onto NBC and elsewhere.
Yeah. So that's an interesting journey, that, you know, you start in one place and then you venture out to other places. Now, if you look at it from a musical artist's point of view, and you're Lady Gaga or you're Ed Sheeran or someone like that, then what you would probably do is that you would start by playing gigs, or you would start as a recording artist, and then you would maybe open up vlogging or YouTube as another place to make money. And maybe that's not going to be your primary channel to make money. Maybe that will be as much about engaging in an important platform.
Yeah, especially for an emerging artist. So, Stephen, you work with emerging artists. How do you vlog with them?
Well, one of the bands I manage, a rock band called Red House Glory, and they're all 21-year-old, you know, guys from London, and, you know, video is their platform. That's how they communicate with their fans. And
what kind of platform do they use?
YouTube, and Instagram is becoming big, and like Nikkei said, now you're uploading native video to Facebook and Twitter.
And what do you think about Snapchat, for example?
It's brilliant, you know. It's
but for them, they don't use it.
We use it. We use everything, but we use everything and see what works, and see where there's interest in our content. And that's probably for anyone in the room here, is to try all of these different things that you're comfortable with. You know, some people don't get video and are not comfortable in front of the camera, you know, but then there's other kids and young artists that they're just, you know, the iPhone is all they know, and they're very comfortable in that medium, and it's exciting.
And at the end, you use YouTube only?
We use YouTube, and we use Vivo. I like what Instagram have been doing with video as well, you know, and they've got the buy buttons in there now as well, so you can put up a video that has a buy button. You can sell stuff from Instagram now. Technically, you can sell things, which is an interesting development.
Yeah, but maybe something that could be of interest is that, for example, when we've been optimizing the Think and his touring campaigns, we've built his channel from 1 million views to 5 million views in the last 18 months. And what I've seen in practice is that click-through rates, for example, for clicking to tickets rather than selling music, are much higher for selling tickets. So the way that an artist can look at their YouTube channel is that you can go and buy YouTube advertising, or then if you optimize your channel really well, you bank those views and you can drive other things that are meaningful for you.
We talk about, my voice. We talk about monetization, but for you, I mean, you said that at the end of the day, you have to monetize, but for an emerging artist, it's really complicated. So maybe they have to use video in the beginning and to spend time and money on video, and then maybe they will monetize, no? What do you think?
I think that is the case for a lot of artists. You know, they're just trying to develop an audience and build a fan base, and it takes time. You know, it's hard work, but it works for a lot of people, and I'm a massive champion of people testing things that work for them and making mistakes. You know, you can't get it right all the time, and I just find it exciting.
Maybe you can give us an example about testing.
Yeah, well, things like from the studio, you know, like when you're recording an album or an EP, you're trying to do stuff, you know, like from behind the mixing desk, or, you know, we're laying down the vocals now. So just trying to, like, Snapchat is quite a good platform for telling that story throughout a day in the studio, or when the band are on tour, you know, if you're driving to Manchester from London. That gets people interested, you know, people that are going to the show, that might be there in the evening, so it like builds anticipation. And then also fans that are all around the world that are still interested, you know, they can't make the gig, but they want to be part of the experience. So they're kind of like simple examples, and the whole concept of, you know, micro campaigns, like 15 seconds, 25, 30 seconds. Nothing, it doesn't have to be 3 minutes, it doesn't have to be too much. You know, there's lots of different things you can test, and, you know, 3 minutes in front of a camera is very daunting. You know, so, you know, the whole Instagram 15 seconds is brilliant, I think.
Yeah, and then, like, on an engagement level, I think very grassroots examples is for the band The Box Rebellion, who basically work on a do-it-yourself model. Like, they own all their own copyrights. It's basically 2 managers, me and the band, and with working with them, the approach has always been that, well, we need to do all these things, and you have to do those things. If you're not going to do those things, then I'm going to be doing those things, and you're going to be paying me. So, you know, it's a bit kind of, it all goes back to that, and they're really good, and they're much better than 2 years ago, for example, at engaging on any given platform. But something relating to vlogging is, or maybe more like monetizing YouTube, is we did a kind of a simple cover competition where we worked with regional media partners that then related to ticket sales. So we gave a pair of tickets away for each of the shows on their European tour and you could participate by then uploading your video, sending the video to us, and we would upload it to the band's channel, and then we would monetize that content. So then we had some of the, for example, we had one band in Holland who were kind of a big in their own scene, and their video was picked up by local media, and it got 1 million views. So it's kind of, that's not vlogging necessarily, but it's part of that kind of a monetization process, I think, and also kind of an engagement process.
You wanted to do something? No, you wanted to say something?
No. Next question.
Thank you. So now there are so many platforms. We have Instagram and Twitter and YouTube and Snapchat and Pinterest. No, not Pinterest for vlogging. So do we have to upload different contents on this channel?
This is one for you.
To create different content? So,
no, you don't. No, you don't. People say that, you know, treat all your channels completely differently, like all channels are completely different. Yes, they are, but then also it has to be said that lately, if you upload a YouTube video on, if you put a YouTube link on Facebook, it's not going to do very well. And Facebook are doing something where they don't really like YouTube at the moment.
Question about the native video on Facebook. Do we have to upload a 3 minutes video on Facebook, or do we have to upload 15 seconds of video on Facebook to
try the YouTube?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you could kind of work it like that, but then again, I started uploading most of the things YouTube video content on Facebook natively, and the last video we uploaded really didn't do that well. And I think the way Facebook looks at it is kind of give us the goodies first, get into the habit of giving us all your good stuff, and then we'll tail it off. That's how I kind of look at it. But so it's kind of the technology companies want people to upload natively to their platform because then they're in control of that content. And if you look at the content that you have from that point of view, then you need to come up with a different strategy, I think. But YouTube is the native place for YouTube for video, and that's the place where artists can directly monetize their content. So it is still kind of the destination to do that. But then if Facebook, come up with good content ID systems and ways to reference copyright and then actually monetize it back in a simple way to artists, then that conversation may change. But all these kind of all these numbers that are being quoted now are very much about if anyone's making money on video, or kind of user-generated video or vlogging video, it's always about a YouTube channel. You never hear someone saying, I've got 1,000 videos on Snapchat and I'm making $1 million because you can't.
On Vine it works. On Vine.
Monetizing content.
And not monetizing, but you have Vine Star now, on Vine.
Yeah. So
not monetizing.
So kind of you have to look at it. You need to be clever about, is this promotion or am I trying to make money?
Yeah.
And how do you drive the business?
Also depends the level you are at as an artist and where you are in your career. So with the bands I'm working with, we're going to be releasing 2 videos in the next month, and I'm strongly thinking of putting our videos on Facebook as well, because we're trying to acquire a fan base, trying to build an audience. And right now for a smaller band, money is not the factor for us. It's like getting your music heard. And like if we have 5,000 fans on Facebook and we can put our video in front of them and we know that they're going to see our Facebook post, because you can put up a YouTube link and it might never be seen unless you pay a bunch of money for it to drive eyeballs. That's how you get people to your page. So I've been thinking about it, and I'm 90% sure that I'm going to put the whole video on Facebook and on YouTube.
And YouTube, okay.
Yeah. Okay. And like we done a brilliant video. We got an amazing video director on. But the thing I'm focusing on for my bands is building awareness. And the money stuff is not an issue right now because the money is tiny. But it's the potential that I'm interested in.
But I've heard that YouTube is thinking about monetizing video. Not YouTube, Facebook, sorry, is thinking about monetizing.
I think it's in all these platforms, long-term plans would be to monetize. And the reason is because everyone wants to keep those eyeballs on their platform. So
it makes no sense for YouTube to send you to, or for Facebook to send you to YouTube, because you don't really come back as often. And like they've done a great job with video, like in the feed. when you find a video for a band you like, you scroll on to the next thing and it's probably relevant. They've just built a great product, and I think it's like the views are going insane. Like the number of views you can get on a Facebook video is bonkers.
Crazy. Yeah, exactly. But Facebook and YouTube, it's web platform. What about mobile platform as Snapchat, for example, or Vine? Because you can't upload video. You have to create a video through your application. So you have to create a new video. So what do you think about, Vine, it's only 6 seconds, Snapchat, it's 15. So you have to create content. More content.
Yeah, so kind of, again, if the purpose is to build a business, then maybe your storytelling on Snapchat, and maybe your strategy is that you realize that young people are on Snapchat and you accept that, and then you try to build your following there, but then you build YouTube into that conversation, or whatever it may be. Maybe it's a brand partnership or something like that. Okay. So. So it's just messaging, but then how do you use that conversation to do something meaningful, i.e. getting paid, for example?
When I worked at Topspin, and like they were brilliant at direct to fan stuff, selling things was the kind of final goal. Like we kind of looked at it as in a business model of the funnel. The whole funnel, and at the top of the funnel is awareness. Building awareness. Then the next thing is engagement, and further down the final thing that you're aiming for is a transaction, or an email address, and then a transaction. So the whole funnel is all of these platforms, building awareness, and with the transaction at the very end. So that's how we did it and do it. And we also had this concept at Topspin, which I really liked, was minor weekly, major monthly things, so like you would get into the routine of sending an email out once a month, but what do you do before, in the month leading up to it? How do you build interesting, engaging things before you send out that email? Because the email might have a link to buy the album, so all of the other things we're trying to acquire email addresses. So how do you get emails? So we were using video to send people to a URL, where you can put in your email address. And then when we got the email address, you could almost, for some bands that are really good at understanding their audience and their fan base, if you have 10,000 emails and you can forecast things like, okay, if 8,000 people open those emails, the chances, like if 20% of them click buy, 5% of them will actually buy. So you can do some interesting things when you build a base, and when you know who your audience is, who your fan is, where they are, those kind of things. But it's video that powers that.
Yeah, and subscribers on YouTube, what used to be a good way to drive actual views. A few months ago, I was at YouTube, and it kind of became clear discussing with them that subscribers is becoming more of a vanity number, but these kind of things are also becoming vanity. Your Facebook likes used to mean more when the platform allowed more messaging through to those people, but ultimately, yeah. So what I'm saying is that how do you drive your views? And the best way to drive your views is still your email list, for example, and that's something that I can quantify. And then often people say, well, kids don't use email, so what are you talking about? But then still, if you want to purchase something from iTunes or whatever, you need an email address. And there is an access point. And if you're messaging, even if you have a younger demographic, that if you're on the email list, you'll get a discounted ticket, or you get the first dibs for tickets, you do create value. So that's one way to kind of drive views, and that is part of successful vlogging as much as anything else, I would say.
So for you, the best platform for vlogging is YouTube at the end. The best platform for vlogging is YouTube at the end.
Well, when it comes to monetizing,
yeah.
So as far as I've read numbers, that's it. But then you can place your video content elsewhere. So I think if you're a successful vlogger, or if you have a big YouTube channel, I've done some work for a YouTube channel called People Are Awesome, and kind of what I've seen in that process is that whenever your YouTube channel matures, and this goes for any mature kind of YouTube audience, is that then you will start to think about, well, wait a minute, if I have actually 10 million people who watch my videos every month, what else can I do with this audience? And then, you can have conversations with, TV companies,
brands.
or brands or whatever else. So I think brand placement is a big thing on vlogging. And that's something that's kind of it happens a lot in the gaming space, and how kind of big games companies approach vloggers, and there's been a lot of talk about, is there kind of are they kind of paying vloggers to give good reviews for games and stuff like that.
There's a great resource on, I think it's called YouTube 101. They have an actual URL where they have all of the tips and tricks, just the things that you don't think about. I think if you Google YouTube 101, there's an actual dedicated site where they have all this like great things that you never even considered, just simple tips. It's all the simple things make the biggest difference, I think. All of the things that Nick has learned over the years and applied. Yeah.
Well, I'm not a YouTube specialist only, like Rebecca would have been that person, but kind of simple things you do is, you use your cards, you link from your videos to your website. If you can link to your website, you can promote any content whatsoever, because on your website you can feature any content. So whether it's a tour or whatever, if you go to but I was going to say from Rebecca's point of view and what she does. So Rebecca has an MCN, which is a multi-channel network, and her company focuses on artists and only musical artists. And the idea is that when you bundle 100 artists together, you can cross-promote video content, and because you're part of a network, you can also negotiate better rates for your money. So, and then what Rebecca's company does is she optimizes YouTube channels, and we bought services from her for Nick Cave, for example, and but that's a lot to do with rights management. So that's one big aspect. If you're a successful artist, like the rights management side, how does publishing work on YouTube, like all the different copyrights, and how do you kind of navigate that? And that's a part of her business as well.
Thank you very much for the conversation. I think that maybe we have time for one question.
Question.
One question.
Everyone is very shy today.
Yeah, very, very shy.
Yeah. But if no one has a question,
yes,
here we have
one
a question.
Yeah.
Go for it. Yeah.
The last one.
Hello, Sherwin Bryce from St. Lucia. Thanks for taking the time to speak. I guess you talk about a lot about YouTube and actually having it being on the platform. What advice do you give people in terms of driving traffic to their own website? Like, you have your own website, don't believe the hype. Like, do you still host your videos on YouTube and then embed them on the website, or do you think that it's getting to a place where people should start hosting their own videos so they can drive the traffic? Do you use YouTube as like a kind of like a hook and then pull them in?
It kind of varies, doesn't it? Like different, like what Nick Cave, his opinion could be completely different to other folks. I work with one of my buddies does all of the digital for a massive rock band, and they just use their website as a holding page, as like a springboard to, it's just a holding page with 8 icons, Alt-J. Their website is just one URL, and then it links out everywhere. And then for other bands like Radiohead, they have a whole world, whole Waste, it's called Waste is their world. It really depends on the artist. It's really up to yourself. And maintaining a website is hard work, isn't it?
The website is where you need to usually pay someone to do stuff. So that's usually where the problems kind of start. But I always prioritize websites. I think websites are very much an neglected resource in music. And I think that's because everyone became social media crazy, and then, we've all forgotten about that we can actually have our own world on the web that represents the band exactly how you want it to be represented. And to your question about, so how would you use your website? So, for example, if you have a piece of content that you want to promote on your website, you can dress up your website promoting your ticket sales or your merchandise sales, or you can promote a key piece of content, or whatever it is. But the kind of things that I do a lot is I'm trying to kind of from the top of the funnel, usually that's social media, drive people to artists' own database, and then artists' own website is very much kind of I think. If you can get your fan to actually visit your website, I think you're doing pretty well. Yeah. I think you can say that there is real interest in the artist. And
like one of the things you can do on your own website is you can put up a little box where you can say, give me your email address and I'll send you a free track or something. So when you get someone to your website, if you make it simple for them to connect with you, put your email address in for a free track, free download or free video.
Yeah, and something that's really effective now is a kind of trying to create urgency into being on your database. So trying to market the value of actually being part of that direct
community and feeling special.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your tips and insight.
Yeah, I hope it was kind of. I wished Rebecca would have been here, but.
But we had Stefan.
One final thing I was just going to mention is with video in particular, try and find your niche. Try and don't follow the same stuff as everyone. Like when you have a niche, when you're like unique at something different you'll be remembered. You know, like if you can be the guy that's good at one thing and people will remember you, find a niche, find something different, find something special that you think represents you, and it's more memorable, I think.
Yeah. Like the same old thing, like what is your storytelling? Who is this artist and what is the story you're telling? And how do you keep people engaged, I guess?
Thank you very much.
And yeah, we're gonna hang about if anyone wants to ask questions afterwards.
Thank you.